Good upfront damage from Xayah. Gets full combo down, flash over from Razor. Xayah just fishing for this 1v1. Karma not going to be able to get there in time. Well, bring her back. Xayah already flashed away. Razor already flashed away. Dashboard whip it. That was clean as hell from Xayah. Knowing that his ultimate is up first, but Oscar overheating. Now starting to walk away. Adam knows this one well, but oh, the comment, the little extra damage, he just burns him.
Go Jinx. No flash. Behind. No, go Jinx.
Yeah, have Jinx. I keep Jinx.
Is there then anything that you can do as the veteran to make the rest of the team a bit more comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in the beginning I was calling way more than what I do now for some reason. I don't know why I stopped talking so much in mid-game. I feel like that helps with the stress or like the how do I say, like the way of playing the game for people, and they have to think less. They just kind of follow and play. But I feel like, for example, today I think Isma and Exa took a lot of the shot calling, and I was just playing my game, kind of chilling. So yeah, I would say talking for the others, probably like giving them direction is something I should probably do more. And yeah, as of now I'm lazy, I guess. So I'm not sure I'm not talking so much, but happens.
I would say lazy.
Wow, okay.
And welcome back to the ADC with this highlight from PGL last week, Nisqy and Exakick. The good is mood. The mood is good, sorry, in game not so much. Yeah, I got confused, but I got as confused as SK here, I feel, because things go well until they don't, and it's been, I don't know, like consistent errors of throws, game after game after game. Nisqy says it himself, he doesn't communicate as well as he would, he doesn't know why though, but what does that translate in game, guys?
I mean, it definitely correlates to why it's so disjointed at times for SK, because it clearly tells you that they don't have that leader that just directs the game, right? There's multiple voices at times, and that also can make gameplay sloppy at times too. But I also just think it's, I don't know, it's the same story at SK every time. Like, we're just repeating the same storylines too, which is a team that comes in good in the beginning and then it starts struggling. And it's interesting to me, right? Because I feel like they should have a good foundation, but somehow it always starts cracking throughout the split.
And you hit something that is starting to bother me with SK. The fact that it's consistently the same issues. It was the same history last year. They changed some pieces that were supposed to work best. Eragon, when you look at spring compared to summer, great start at the beginning of the year. It's starting to unravel a bit lately. What is the fix? What is the explanation? What do you want to see more from SK, and what is a symptom of them losing fights?
I mean, it's always a question of, are they actually improving or just staying at the same level from the start? It's really interesting because the communication point from Nisqy, not talking when you play champions like Talia, Neeko, and Karma, which are push and move and work with your jungle champs, is a really big red flag. And we saw back in the winter with voice comms, he would set up absolutely every single play with voice comms. He would say, on this minion, we are ganking, right? And I think these team fights really highlight, especially the disconnect between sieges. This is a Baron siege right now, and Nisqy's just getting caught in the mid lane. Irrelevant tries to bail him out with a TP, but then he gets one shot, and then that's their entire lead thrown. And I think this one also summarizes, just watch Irrelevant. His whole team is trying to back off, and he just goes in 1 versus 5.
And I completely agree. And for me, when I watch this fight, specifically JB, I see a lack of discipline. I don't know how you read this, but we know what these players are capable of. We know what they can do together, and I see fights like this, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Even Swiffer is wondering, game after game.
I mean, Swiffer is just, I think, what any fan is when watching these games. You're holding your head and you're just puzzled. You're asking yourself, what the hell is happening? And I think it's fair as well, because as you say, are they even improving as well? That could also be the question. I think that series against KC was just a big question mark in general, and I think like they're lucky to even win that game with the throw that they kind of had in it. They're 3-3 right now, which can still be enough to make it through to the playoffs cutoff, but if you don't actually start implementing a better gameplay or get a better game plan when you come into these games, you might miss out on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to fix, and it's going to be difficult, I think, doing this, especially against the likes of G2 today, but let's see what SK can do about this. Over to you, Hysterics, with a banging outfit. I love it.
Thank you very much. Hopefully it's going to be a banging game as well. Welcome back. I had to take over from Drake. I just came from Caedrel's party. Happy birthday, by the way, to the rat. Was a couple of days ago. It was on Monday, you said. It was on, what date is it today?
19th. I don't know what day. Is it 23rd today?
I've been through a ringer, man. So, you know, we're just lucky to be here. But, of course, going into G2 versus Giant, I thought I'd flare it up a bit because G2 have already secured playoffs. Sorry, not Giant, we just saw them before. SK. SK are this team that we just can't predict at the moment. It's like, how is the early game going to play off? How is this team going to play off? And against G2, what a tall ask. What a big basket of eggs, Dagda.
Especially, as you say, against G2, because they, after losing the Fnatic, were no slouches when it came into their next game and very quickly wanted to try and dissipate any sort of rumors that were going around that they might be looking weak. So SK might be feeling the brunt of that here today as well. Already getting a lot of AD carry bans, so curious to see if we get that early rotation of an AD carry here, or if you just want to go towards something like a Xayah or some sort of jungler here.
I just love, again, we've seen so many different picks coming through for the change in 14-5. You know, in that bottom side, AD carry still prioritizes for G2. They're just playing with us for the time being, but that Neeko priority for someone like Caps, when it's been there consistently, maybe a little bit earlier, Dagda, when you consider what's open and available for first pick, it seems that G2 put their priority in a different basket.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe we get like a Rel or something along those lines where you can try and have that flexibility as to what you want to do. Also with the fact that Irrelevance Jax is open, I wouldn't be fully surprised to see them try and hover, or at least go for that in the early stages. I think you've options here to try and play for, hey, we can play for side lanes, especially when you have a Neeko in that situation, but also even flex it in towards Isma in the jungle, because with things like, you know, Viego, with the Xin Zhao coming through, Jack can do relatively well in that regard, but looks like they might actually just go for the Xin Zhao themselves here.
And with the Ahri paired up as well, looks like a strong mid-jungle 2v2 Dagda is the angle here for Nisqy and Isma. When coming into winter at the start of the year, this is what was going to sell the team. Successfully, it did so in winter. I think we need to see more of that today. So I think that sets it up. Dagda is, again, I can only just see this. Sorry,
you have to take the sunglasses off to see.
Well, yeah, it's quite difficult inside, isn't it? But at least in similar values.
Yeah, I think again it's just a very strong mid jungle. The only thing I'd be curious about here, if you end up going for someone like a Poppy here for Yike in the early stages of the game, it kind of sets you up very well with the, hey, you guys want to dive in on top of us? Cool, we'll just try and remove that. Also, I think Doss's looks significantly stronger on things that have that engage potential. So a Nautilus, a Rakan, these kind of things that all have that innate dash that you can try and dissuade here if you go towards it. But
okay,
gonna go with a blind Draven.
Yeah, so already played it.
I mean, you saw Jackalo pop off today under in the LPL. Maybe gonna see a similar regard here.
I mean, we've seen Hans Summer on this a few times as well. I kind of like that again for G2 towards the end of the split. Seeing some of these comfort picks come out is massive, but also more talking about hooks and what accompanies it is always big with the Draven lane as well, right? Things like the Nautilus still available, things that G2 don't want to look at right now because getting Yike on this carry jungler seems to be a high pro.
Yeah, this is something that he's going to do relatively well here. You're going to have good setup here in the Neeko that can provide the damage, or sorry, the CC chain that you want for Viego to then bring the damage. So very kind of similar roles, I will say, in both regards. With the, curious to see what SK are going to go for in the round out though. Do they immediately just try and take the Jax for relevant at the top side? No, actually going to go fall back to the Cassante. So kind of surprised to see that. I wasn't sure how much they wanted to try and lean into, hey, we can be a side lane threat team. But at least it goes, look, SK, they already realized Exakick and Doss are going to be under a lot of attention from G2 Esports in the early stages from this mid-jungle. So try and take something that can at least be fine in its own on the top side.
It's just interesting, though, again, further to that point, Irrelevant has played a lot of these carry bruiser top laners, Jace, Renekton, things that do need priority in lane, things that can build off that bridge out of lane. Irrelevant taking a backseat against BrokenBlade, to me, that's extra interesting because BB's champion pool is that and the kitchen sink, anything in between. Is the Mott coming out today? Is it going to be the Broom? I guess we'll find out as they start banning away some of these flex top laners like the Twisted Fate that can hover up into that lane and get a range advantage. I want to see what else SK take off the menu. Yeah,
we saw the Gwen as an answer to this a lot of the times from BB. Kind of got manhandled a little bit by Oscarnan in that matchup, but opportunity to go towards that once more here if you want to try and, you know, right some of the wrongs. Still, though, I think you've got a lot of opportunity here as G2 to just play whatever the hell you want, right? You've got, if you want to go for someone like the Gwen, good opportunity to play with side lanes with the Gwen, try and push that, play for like some sort of 1-4 split. I think you end up taking something like a tanky as well into the bot lane. Honestly, I wouldn't even feel fully surprised to see something like an Alistair into this bot lane to just go, hey, we're going to go heavy on this engage and try and set up here for this Draven to go wild, especially if Exakick over the Kog'Maw. I don't think you want to go that. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you take the Xayah here for what you imagine is going to be a very heavy engage team and just say, I will clear waves, I will survive, and that is all I really want to achieve here.
Rakan taken away instead. So AD carry is going to be left as the last pick, but it does set up for the potential Xayah Rakan, doesn't it? I mean, for the Draven lane, though, let's see what kind of engage they can set up for Mikyx. So far, this guy has played a different support every single day. I'm talking about 6 unique picks, just like BB has done the same. Let's see if it makes a 7th for these individual stars. Because again, we're questioning a lot about that top side. We just need to see how the draft rounds out. Yes, it is! Okay, Dagda, you've got your book, you've got your notes somewhere. We've studied, we planned for this moment. It's like we didn't want to say it, but we knew this could be on the agenda today.
Yeah, BB has been spamming this Rek'Sai top in solo queue. Very, very good when it comes to early pressure, because a lot of what you do is go for early trades, you take the W, you go back under the ground, you heal it up, you've got second win, you got your Doran shield. Makes it very difficult to try and push you out of the way. This would be sick. Oh, Mickey, please. Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's going to be the Annie support. I was really hoping that was going to be Camille's support for a second.
Or it's Neeko support. Remember that.
It'll be Neeko support as well, actually, yeah.
LEC. A quick side note, if anyone didn't get the memo from Dagda, that is a top Rek'Sai, the first Rek'Sai top in LEC. Last one was in Major Region Summer of LPL 2015. Wow. Holy moly. We're going to find the details of that. That sounds like a Xayah thing.
Xayah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You are old.
Thanks, mate.
Well,
Glad you're here on the cast with me now, yeah.
With the flair of the shirt comes new responsibilities as well. So, G2's comp. What does it do? Because there are a lot of different parts that I don't think we would see on the same team historically.
So there's your main point of attraction is going to be the Annie and the Neeko for, hey, we are your engaged setup. We are the ones that are going to be, I'm going to play for flash with caps, I'm going to look for these big stuns. It's actually something we've seen quite a lot for JDG over in the LPL, where they will play with this Annie to be that kind of setup or that team fight for Viego. And then now you've got the Neeko to try and follow up on that. So either you have a flash stun from Annie, or you have some sort of creative flank from the Neeko with a flash to begin these fights for you. And now that Rek'Sai has been changed, she doesn't just have single target knockup. She now has an AoE knockup, right? So if you're hitting multiple people with the Neeko ult, multiple people with Annie ult, you've got a lot of follow-up that can come through very, very quickly, which enables Hansama really well here. So I think this is where G2 definitely playing for these mass AoE wombo combo style team fights. And it's going to be looking to see if SK try and move away from that. Like, can Nisqy outrange them? Can Exakick be quick on the ult finger so then he doesn't end up falling apart? And I think if you can try and keep these fights spread out and, you know, avoid a lot of that initial play from G2, SK can then find a way to re-engage post that initial burst.
Okay, so get it all out of the way, then chill out and play the fight as you will. Good advice from Dagda as SK look to move past the breaking point. They're at 3-3 right now, and yes, it is not all doom and gloom. But remember, as we get closer and closer towards playoffs, with our last week on the board, SK need to get through to the finish line. It has been a rougher start this split, and there's been more inconsistencies. There's definitely been a higher bill in the back end for a psychologist or whatever's going on, because we know behind the scenes, Swiffer has been getting a lot of camera time. I don't know if we're paying him for that, because I think he's been on screen more than us, Dagda, but look, again, you know, shout out, because SK have gone through the ringer, I think, and the fact that they're still 3-3 after the inconsistencies we've seen have shown you that, like the KC game we saw last week, they have been eventually able to close it in some of these cases. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's just after the Carmine Corp one, I don't really have faith in SK's mid game. Like, the amount of throws, the amount of missed setups, how long it took them to really close out that game kind of spoke volumes as to where the team is at when they get to that mid-game point. And against a team like G2, especially with a team comp like this that's so good at punishing if you misstep, SK need to be clean. And I think a lot of that is going to start with Isma and Nisqy. I mean, you have a very strong mid-jungle combo that you want to try and look to play around and set up so then you can move that into the bottom side. Keep Hansama and Mikyx honest, but if you don't, you're going to be in a bad spot. But here, we're going to see the Rek'Sai versus the K'Sante. Again, look, this is all you want to do as BrokenBlade, is just continuously look for trades with the Grasping and Dying. Look to build up that rage. You can Fury, you can even build it up off of the creeps as well. Yeah. And then just pop back underground and you get a ton of healing every time you burrow yourself. So you're just able to out-trade and outlast your lane opponent, and that's how you get control there.
And if anyone missed the patch notes, the awesome thing about Rek'Sai now is like the attack wind-up and the ability to come out of unburrow and get an auto. It doesn't feel as janky as there's pretty heavy trades towards mid. We'll keep an eye on that. But the Rek'Sai top, now the ability to unburrow, get those autos out, as you were saying, weave and duck and dive, dodge, dip, dive and dodge again, is a lot better now. So I'm kind of interested to watch myself as a Rek'Sai aficionado. I'm sorry that Ender's not here to help us through this. He'd probably recommend an Infinity Edge, but a quick note on that as well is that, you know, Irrelevant's been playing at top as well. BB we said in solo queue. Whippo over in NA doing the same as Flash for Flash. Ignore the Rek'Sai because mid is just dead. And it's dead over to Caps. First blood to G2, and that was harsh.
And this is why we've seen Annie come out as a lot of answers to the Ahri in these sorts of games. The point-and-click CC from the Annie is so good at locking up the Ahri, and the follow-up from Yike there nets in the first blood for Caps. And again, you get to do this at level 6, you only get to follow up even more, so immediately getting that early one, but Caps now a little bit low.
Good charm dodge. It's pre-6-0 for Nisqy, and with the flash burn, teleport to come back to lane. If Yike comes back again, if Caps is able to set up this wave, there is a possibility that they can catch Nisqy unaware one more time before he gets the Spirit Rush. But a good opener here for G2 in the early game. Because again, you know, this team early blood is Mikyx just going to turn into a minion and try and sneak in here. But
there's no way this works.
that minion's a little bit far from home, don't you think? As Exakick is running back. Tanglebar's not going to come until the Rakan jumps on him, but DOS has a Xayah alongside him in Exakick, so he's got the extra range. I mean, he can just dive out himself.
Yeah, so I think a lot of this, again, is going to be, hey, look, G2, you get control over boss.
Yep.
Nature of the matchup. Exakick needs to be a little bit careful, but he just wants to make sure that they're not getting frozen on here. Mid lane is now going to be an issue for Nisqy. The beauty is, look, the way you always want to look at it is nearly 6 minutes for level 6 in the solo lanes, right? It's kind of the wave that crashes about 5:30 is when you'll be able to hit level 6. So in theory, Nisqy should be able to avoid any repeat gank with the ultimate. But the problem is just that point-and-click CC is so annoying as an Ahri to try and outplay. But Isma, if you can work with him, maybe you can get some sort of play into mid lane and close down on G2, because if you get control mid, you get so much control over bot lane. This game is as good as dead for SK.
Yep. Feels like something that we've seen so well from Ahri's internationally is Hansama not going to get rooted up. It's a failure there. It is a 3 versus 3 as Yike now flies in as well, but a chance for Exakick to get the stun, and unfortunately, it doesn't work out.
Nice from Yike to be in position there, though. You could already see him kind of hovering to make sure that if Isma was going to show up bot lane, it was going to be on that wave.
Yep.
They really wanted to get that crash in of the wave, which is really why Isma was there, so you don't end up just getting frozen and more of that wave lost. But now Isma going to show up. I don't think you can really follow that, but at least making sure that he's keeping track of Yike as well at the moment.
Oh, we're just going to see some spinning in the top side once again. We go up to BrokenBlade, who's almost level 6. He's half the way there. Remember, that Void Rush is just going to be able to nuke someone like Irrelevant. Also, quick side note on the changes as well. Furious Bite now, more percentage health cleaving. That is the Rek'Sai E. So she is able to deal with tanks better. And Dagda, you know, I was making a point before Caps got set up for that first blood that Irrelevant's the other person that I can see here playing a hell out of it. And it's funny that they're going up against each other. Irrelevant's like, oh, come on, man. I've only just started playing this in solo queue.
Sorry, laugh. Mickey shows up in mid lane and Nisqy immediately starts pinging like a madman going, there's an extra person, there's an extra minion. I've counted successfully. So I won't end up falling down to it, but there you go. Level 6 now hit. How much pressure do they want to try and put onto this, though? I think, again, if you're SK, it's just try and keep yourself at arm's length, but it's already causing issues for Exakick. You can see he's falling majorly down in CS. They're trying to get some sort of vision control in the river, but with the amount of control that Hansama has in bot, it's opening up Mickey to continuously make these plays mid and try and punish Nisqy while he has no flash.
I mean, again, he has a Spirit Rush available, so things get a little bit difficult, but it was that flash burned early on that Dagda just mentioned that might open things up. For G2, they have priority bot, priority mid. Let's see what they can do around Dragon side, because there's been a lot of teams flexing around this area, Dagda, but there hasn't been a full commit to start the objective.
Yeah, SK have been doing a good job of getting vision into crucial places, so that's why G2 haven't really been able to follow up on any more, although the classic Annie, toss down Tibbers on the head if you want to go for Dragon, because it's like, well, now neither of us get to fight. And the Annie will get to reset, but it means that the chances are you can't really contest for Dragon, although Nisqy maybe wants to try and stop the reset here, but yeah, it's something we see an awful lot with Annie, where it's like, hey, I don't actually want to commit to the Dragon fight, so instead I will just throw down this ultimate on my opponent's head, take 2/3 of their health bar, and then we just have the health advantage if we try and contest over for Dragon at any point in time.
So I wonder again if G2 just do the handshake deal. As bot side, we get a bit of an engage onto Hansama. He's walked up, the feather's not going to fly again in the right direction. His next kick outside the range of the Tangle Barbs. A blooming blow thrown by Mikyx in the end, but not too much damage to speak of as both AD carries trade their health bars. Hansama, that might be okay considering the amount of damage he does to amplify Doran's blade. Yike just got level 6, by the way, off stealing some
Where's
experience
Isma?
from the bottom side.
Isma stuck into the bush. He will hit 6 off the... Oh, did he stop it from getting in the bush?
Nah, he saw it. He definitely saw it. They saw that the Lee Sin was there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, nice try from DOS to try and interrupt it and see if you could prevent it. But also, I think the fact that you are immediately jumping onto a definite clone makes it a little bit obvious.
A little bit sus, yeah.
Yeah, so G2, they're like, right, chances are Isma's backed away from this bottom side of the map. We're going to go for the Dragon. Yike also has a level advantage there because Isma's been spending so much time to try and cover for a lot of what G2 are trying to do. So even though it's not technically working out with more kills going their way, the war of attrition is working for them, right? 22 CS lead bot. You're looking at a good amount of control of the mid lane as well. With Caps, yeah, he'll fall behind, but he's going to provide more of that facilitator style when it gets to these team fights. And Yike's ahead as well.
I mean, look, if you see Hansama CS in comparison to Exakicks, you're happy, you're cheering for G2. All you need is that early cash-in, which is going to be a beauty for Hansama. Currently sitting at 215 stacks, so quite a bit of extra gold going to be flying through. As it's 20 CS in the lead, by the way. The wave was pushing in, it was building up, but I think as it rounds out, we're going to hold that 20 CS mark. And it's good news for G2's bottom lane, while you can also say in the laning phase, it's good news across the board. All I see is this weird green-blue color that my eyes are like, is that aqua? Is that blue? Is it teal?
Teal.
Teal. There's a teal all around at the bottom of the scoreboard. If you can read colors or see colors like I can, that just says all good news for G2 with about 1,500 gold spread throughout.
G2 with a lot of wave control down here. Good binding coming through from Mikyx, but no real follow-up. Also, without Yike in the area, I don't think they can really push on for too much more, but I am curious to see how they want to try and approach this, because I think Yike would like to try and go for, like, say, the early Void Grubs here, because you're getting a lot of chip damage across the board. Like, Yike can play through mid, but is also kind of happy at this stage with how well the game's gone to leave his lanes to their own devices. So if he starts getting Void Grubs as well, the chip damage, get extra plates, like, could also be just the way G2 slowly build their lead in this game.
But if we're talking about G2 building a lead and then moving into a mid-game, I wonder what G2 do well. Mid-games, yes. Consistently. This 5-1 team who, you know, the only loss was to Fnatic, which was, felt like a breakthrough for Fnatic, but still G2 are looking like one of the best teams in the league once again. They're already going to MSI, so that's also good news for EU fans. The reason I'm talking about this is because going up against SK, there's always going to be an uphill battle for SK, regardless of where the game's at. I'm talking historically coming into this game. SK have got a lot of explaining to do to kind of bridge the gap between mid to top tier teams. Now maybe it starts. Kick backwards is a good way as Mikyx gets a Tangle Barbs. Pop Blossom though, and there's no support because Yike flashes forward after the Heartbreaker, and Hansama thinks about coming in. Isma at a low health bar as the wave crashes, but it won't turn into a dive. With all the tools used by G2, it gets close.
I mean, that was very, very close to Isma going down. But now, starting to move up towards the mid lane as well. Nisqy quite far extended on the mid. We'll probably have to ult away from this because Cap's trying to build up that point and click.
Oh, there's my cannon minion. Oh, he bypassed the mid lane. Right. Mikyx just frolicking around and Nisqy has to respect it.
It is the fake one as well.
Yeah, I know, I'm just waiting for it. That stays for way too long. I think all League players who've played against Neeko know that the clones stay for about 10 years. I think they need to go down to like 1 or 2 seconds, you know what I mean? Like, even after getting hit, they stay there 4 or 5 seconds. It's frustrating, Dagda, but take my frustrations away. BrokenBlade does have the Void Rush available.
He doesn't know that Exakick and DOS are here, and even Ahri's on their own. BB's going to get caught here.
He gets the turret plate for it, but if you look at the tunnels, Dagda, it's interjected by DOS, so the interrupt's there, but he's got another one! He's got another one! And BB makes another one. That is Rek'Sai to a core. When you have the tunnel system set up, it's like going on the subway as Caps gets away, flashes away. Meanwhile, Sonic Wave, but a great stun. A beautiful one as Isma tanks it up, but Tibbers comes out, and here's Yike. They've overdove in this. Nisqy doesn't get out in the end. It's a 1-for-1. They thought they were setting up that dive perfectly, but SK are traded.
It was a nice opportunity from SK. They tried to rotate top to catch BB off guard and get Void Grubs. Now, though, because they end up not going for the Void Grubs immediately, the 1-for-1 trade, and Hansama's getting played spot, and you're not getting Void Grubs, and now Yike may even look for a little bit more against Irrelevant, but once they spot that DOS and Exakick aren't on the top side of the map anymore, maybe they feel like they need to back off here.
And, you know, BB's going to smash these turret plates as well if he gets time alone. We've got 2 minutes left of them, too. As you said, Hansama getting his own with Mikyx in the bottom side that Irrelevant can only clear wave slowly for, but this Rek'Sai top is a big issue. Yike is having freedom in the enemy jungle. It's only mid that's a bit of a contest, but Dagda, you've raised the point that G2 don't care. They're happy to have this utilitarian mid laner in caps on the Annie. And top, because you've got Demolish with a HP tank Rek'Sai with Sunfire first, he makes short work of that.
And all he has to do is continue to keep that pressure up, because as long as he does that, the rest of G2 can go through. There's your tunnels to hop on out. But it's getting a ton of pressure top. And look at where G2 were. They were just littering wards in that bot side. Now BB feels like he can go for it.
Just takes one in. Has she got one available? No, just one there. You know, I watched The Last Airbender again recently because the Netflix had the live adaptation. I watched the real thing. That song Secret Tunnel is stuck in my head.
I haven't seen any Avatar.
They're a fraud. Nisqy all in though. Good charm in the meanwhile. BrokenBlade still threatening. Again, the damage is there. Might not have the MR to deal with Nisqy, but still with the help. Nisqy's not doing too much damage himself as G2, while that's going on, they're just starting the dragon.
Oh, Exakick.
Almost dead. Cap's going to
He
run
may
up.
still die. Oh, the point. Just going wide. Yeah, I mean, that's the power of the Annie, right? You take the wrong spot, you're going to feel it immediately. Exakick won't end up taking the business end of that damage from Hansama either. And he's sitting on a ton of stacks. I mean, what's that at the moment? It's 390, so that would have been quite a bit of execute damage onto Exakick, but he's able to back off. Still though now, Mikyx moving back down into this bottom side. And you're just winning everywhere in the map for G2. Exakick and DOS are trying to keep control over mid, but can't really do it against caps. And I mean, your side lanes are going great for G2.
So good. I mean, it just sounds like we're talking them up consistently, but guys, like, again, look at that scoreboard for reference. It's almost a 1k gold lead between top laners. It's almost a 1k gold lead between this Draven, who is still yet to cash in. The early game's clean, now with a 2k gold lead. And for SK, we're trying to look for opportunities, see what they can take next. Herald started here. Yike is up here moving with caps, but SK should have the run of the damage dealt here, Dagda, to try and take this down quick.
Yeah, I think G2 just don't really have position for it.
Okay.
Hansama hadn't reset boss. You have no ult on caps mid because he used to try and burst at Exakick, so you end up giving it across, but it'll be okay. You're really looking for more of the turrets, and immediately TP from BB into bot lane to try and get control there.
Maybe open something up. Now, plates have gone down, so that's a bonus here for SK, who are losing quite a bit, but that means the turrets get a little bit squishier for something like this. Rek'Sai, who almost opened up topside. Hansama moving to that said lane as well, by the way, with the Yomus and the buildings of the second item, while SK trying to open up mid with this Herald. With 3 members here, they should be able to get some damage down, but can they find the follow-up considering that Caps is nearby? The level 11 Annie with a lot of all-in.
So have to be careful though, because again, Caps does have flash, Tibbers is up, and you could immediately be trying to look for a turnaround there, but they're happy to just continue to play through sides. Again, you'll get mid tower, but side lane going to go in favor of G2 here. Hansam has to back off of that top lane turret as G2 try and help secure that area. But as long as G2, like, you can, here you go, take top tower, you can end up sticking Annie up into this top side. She can push in. You have threat with Yike, who can always play up there as well. So it's hard for Nisqy to actually really contest the wave state. And then from that position, G2 can then move that into a collapse on mid, where you can immediately have Caps flash under tower, especially BB. I mean, just solo gets this bot lane turret.
Look at the damage is done. I think that's irrelevant, just staying in lane with the Rek'Sai. Tunnel out once again. BrokenBlade just charging back in. Gets it. Demolish helps out. Now that tunnel's recharged. See you later, but interrupted. Never mind. Go for the next
There's
tunnel.
another one.
The unburrow there it is, but can't follow up. Now the chase continues. Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. It just keeps working out so well, the BP. Oh, it's hilarious.
DOS forced to immediately exit out of topside. G2, they're still controlling this game heavily, even with Caps coming in towards mid lane as well. That's a lot of members of G2. They could look to try and threaten on towards the tower, especially with DOS being so low. And again, you've got so much wombo combo here, and everyone on SK is just scrambling to cover side lanes.
SK scrambling to do something mid as well. I mean, DOS looking for the engage. He's got flash. He's got quickness available there. Popped onto Hansama. You got the Draven. Get ready to catch him with a kick. Just disengages. It doesn't find the pick as Caps gets out, burning his flash. But G2 sit there, waiting for SK to do something appropriate. Nothing was done in the end. They walk away. I guess they say mid-turret, Dagda, but maybe it could have been a lot more.
Caps just ulted on his own head, so end up catching 3 members there. Hansama really wants to try and get a cash in, but it meant that everything dissuaded here from SK. And G2 would just go back again. The numbers advantage that they're able to get in this mid game is our mid lane is insane.
If Hansama ults like that, by the way, the health bar for DOS looked high. But because remember, the execute threshold gets higher the more stacks you have. 516 right now. I'm no mathematician.
That's a big number.
But it's a big number. 500 is bigger than 400. So it's huge.
And you were saying you weren't a mathematician.
I know. I'm humble. You know, I am humble. Math does suck, though. Let's be quite real. BB and Irrelevant going to battle it out now. Observers, like, how does this look? Irrelevant with the all-out once again. There's a lot of unstoppable there, but BB not taking too much damage. He's got the Spectre's Cowl. And Dagda, you know, we tried to talk about it a little bit earlier. The build does have a Titanic Hydra in it, but the rest is just tank. Things like Spirit Visage come in, Sunfire comes in. There's been Randuins in some of the builds. Like, you're a tank bully of the side lane that has Armor Shred in the E, and you have a lot of engaged potential that adds in. So I'm really excited to see how BB moves towards the rest of these fights, because it's third Dragon for G2 coming up in 20 seconds. BrokenBlade is hovering down the bottom side of the map without his TP. Irrelevant doing the same. We're going to see how G2 approach this one, because it feels like a nice turning point for SK if they can get their hands on it. So they don't want that.
Yeah, I think G2 are trying to play for mid tower first. You can see they shoved in top with Caps. He's now starting to group mid here, so they can maybe threaten onto it. But as long as members of SK have to group on mid, they're fine. But they're saying, screw that, Nisqy, we want you to try and get in behind, but Irrelevant.
Yeah, the fight might start early. I mean, Irrelevant maybe not. Pop Blossom is a one-man quickness yet. Again, the Tangle Barb's there. Han Summer catches in, though. Look at the money! It flies into his pocket as G2 have already opened up in a big way. And BB is in Narnia again. This guy found a tunnel in, didn't pay the train fare, and now as he comes through, the Void Rush flies onto Exakick's face, but he's not taking damage! He's not taking any damage! Exakick says, get this guy off me! Get him off me, Dagda!
It feels so unfair. He just tunnels about, whacks you, and then tunnels out again. There's nothing you can do. His health bar just keeps on ticking up, and now G2, they're trying everything. Nisqy charms onto the clone. Mikyx doesn't quite get Isma, so it'll end up backing away. But G2, third Dragon secured, and they managed to get the pressure onto mid lane. Like, this was a fight that could have gone great for SK, but the coordination wasn't quite there. And honestly, Irrelevant reminded me a little bit of what happened in the Karmine Corp game, where he had the idea of, I want to go in now. Rest of the team weren't really in position, and it means that it kind of blows the cask open in SK's face before they can even get themselves into a position.
I know we're about to look at a replay on that, Dagda. You got to break it down for me, because as you said, yeah, a little bit early on the trigger we saw as his TP's channeling in on the left of your screen.
But this is the thing, Irrelevant goes over the wall, right, and then immediately has to try and make the play, but Nisqy not really in a position to threaten onto Han Sam or anyone here. He tries to get onto Mikyx, but doesn't quite end up landing some of the spells. Exakick is also in a terrible spot where he's just not able to really be a part of this fight, and it feels like you had an opportunity to try and go for, you know, a charm onto Han Sama and then follow up with the Lee Sin, try and make some sort of play. But without that pick, G2, they're able to just turn around with some excellent team fighting.
BrokenBlade took like 6 turret shots. Yeah. Oh,
I didn't quite catch at the start. Maybe Irrelevant got auto-attacked over with the Blast Cone. I wasn't sure if it was his own decision, but yeah, either way, it just feels a little bit unfortunate for the way SK wanted to play that fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, it feels unfortunate for the game state, because Han Summer cashed in. I think I saw on my screen, it was like 1,200 gold from the cat. It was something disgusting. It's got to be illegal, because Han Summer's now on 3 items, a 3.5k gold lead.
I mean, he was at like 600 stacks, right? And you get 2.5 stacks, or 2.5 times your stacks in gold. So it's
it was like 700 before the fight, maybe, or close to. So let's quickly do some math. It's hard on air. So maybe it was more than 1,200. It was like 1,500, 16,
He made
17.
6 million gold off that play.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Sword Art's wage. That's crazy, man. I mean, with that, you got to be good, right? And for Han Sama, 10k. Now he's got to show us how good he can be. And that brings back memories, Dagda, but maybe non-pleasant after the Sooning days. Still, I mentioned the 3 items before. He's obviously gapping Exakick here. And for SK, we have to talk about their options in this game, because it doesn't feel like they've had many. Through laning phase to now, they've tried to force a lot of the issues of picks through people like Nisqy, Isma, but they keep trying to find it on BrokenBlade.
Trying to find it on Caps now.
And now maybe this is a better target, right? Flash is available.
It's not Yike, though.
Ah, Yike being here. Maybe that's not pleasant. Charms went to where? Nisqy is at half HP. He's got Flash, Spirit Rush. Ooh!
I love the Isma just in the bush, lightly taps his back key. Doesn't actually. He wants to cancel it. Maybe don't. I don't know. This is the play.
Friend. Any friend. No, I wouldn't. Okay, DOS with here, though. And DOS gets out. Look, it's just not going that great anymore for SK. It wasn't initially, but it's going from bad to worse very quick, Dagda. Isma! is still here. Okay, Isma, show us what you got.
Give me the spy music.
This is like
the James Bond.
You know, you watch
the Mission Impossible.
You watch X Factor and there's just been a really good singer on, and then they show the person afterwards and you're like, I wonder what this person's going to be like. Isma's now going to show if it follows the script. I guess as the back comes, no, it doesn't.
That shirt finally makes sense. You want to be Simon Cowell.
Yes! Here I am. Exakick with the ulti out. Timber's out. Does it pay off? I'm still waiting for the question. The root doesn't. Sonic Wave doesn't. Isma, yeah, you have to at this point. Get stunned up. Quickness. Pop Blossom down, though. Isma waited 2.5 minutes to die. Oh, man, as Rek'Sai flies in, BrokenBlade is kicked away but takes no damage. The Void Rat flies through and the Rush is there on top of it. BB is unstoppable, unkillable. And I think at this point, G2 are undeniable, aren't they? One of the best teams in the LEC, if not absolutely. SK have had no options this game.
I mean, it went from Mission Impossible to Benny Hill music very, very quickly on that topside play. G2, they know there's no jungler. They know there's no contest from SK, and they're just going to take the Baron.
It went from Mission Impossible to Scientology.
To Johnny English.
Yeah.
We got Rowan Atkinson in the building.
Man, again, for SK, as they run away from the Baron, that they never were really in for the first time, as DOS is just trying to get to safety. G2 pick it up. 9k gold lead. And it feels like that's all she wrote as we look at this fight again. Isma is out of the bush.
Yeah, Isma, I mean, look, he tries to go on to Caps, but Caps has managed to get all of his CC back up. And then as well, the fact that Mickey's on the way, the ult's coming through, the TP as well, immediately from BB. They realize, look, if we can actually take this fight on the top end of the map, we're going to be able to turn over towards Baron. We could potentially crack up the base with the wave state that we have as well. So G2 are more than willing to try and take that fight, and it's just a massive overextension from SK. But look, I can half understand it as well. It's like G2 are already way too far ahead. They have a composition that's incredible at team fighting. Like, how else do you try and get back into the game apart from picks? But yeah, it's just a little unfortunate.
And you can see Isma, like, the look on his face tells it all, doesn't it? Like, SK's option here in this game hasn't been the greatest, as now wants G2 thrive in this Dragon side of the map. It's SK who are running for their lives once again, but they need something here. Onto BB, the all-out is going to come through irrelevant. Maybe hoping for a better target in the end as G2 now channeling through the choke. Sonic Wave there, and you look at the back line. G2 a bit separated. That was Mickey in La La Land. It's still a trade, but for SK, that's not bad, as BB once again with the re-engage. Whirling Death gets another catch in, extra 600 gold behind Sama. And look at them fly forward. BrokenBlade's under turret all of a sudden thanks to Irrelevant's ulti.
He's just
but
sitting
he's emoting. He is emoting. Now Hysterics Gage just doesn't die. Flash unburrow. And he brings it out. It's the first ever LEC top lane Rek'Sai, and BrokenBlade is making it look hella broken.
Get ready, solo queue. Rek'Sai top is on the way, and G2, they've made it look clean. They've made it look so damn clean. Mountain Dragon going to be soloed out by Yike as he makes his way over, as the base torn asunder by G2.
We can compliment that again, but you guys get the message. Inhibitor goes down. SK, are they going to make a TP play? DOS is in a flank. Irrelevant up in 15, Nisqy up in 1. But there it is. I mean, on top of Hunsummer's head, DOS just stands there. Caps keeps running, ignores, stand aside. Nisqy has flash and ulti, but G2 is still here. In front of the Dragon they ignored last time. As DOS walks in, he can't walk in. It's just G2's Dragon, and SK have to play second fiddle again.
And this is kind of heartbreaking now for SK. They are sitting 3-3 in the standings, but another game up against Fnatic still to come. And then against Rogue as well, but here we go.
BrokenBlade, level 16 Rek'Sai, still again unkillable was the word. Watch him kick away, disengage. SK breathing life into the fight as Irrelevant TPs in, but BrokenBlade uses the Queen's Wrath into the backside. And because Hysterics Gage is back up, still is not dying. BrokenBlade is just, as you said, it's the best part of Tom Cruise.
And BB's breaking Hysterics Gage. He is off the charts here.
There you go.
But here we go, Nisqy. I'm sorry, bud. We salute you, mate. But there's no escaping this one.
Flash and about to be 2 shots. Stand aside, perfect. Another catch in. I mean, Hunsummer next back. If there is a next back, it's just going to be full items.
And now G2 with the wave they prepped earlier, just going to start to move underneath the tower as well. They have to pick this one up. Doss spots out Mikyx on the side, but can't really get into a position where he's able to follow up. Isma could maybe look for some sort of hero kick, which you've even got the CC chain on Caps there, or at least the CC available on Caps. You'd just be able to sort him out. So it's SK. Here
he comes.
They're going to take it slow.
That's BrokenBlade flying in. Run away. She means business. 3 items and a double knock-up. How good does it feel? BrokenBlade again tagging is irrelevant, gets stunned up and stuck in the middle, and even with a nice pushback, won't get to go unstoppable again. Handsummer cleans that up as 5 members of G2 run into the base at 27, almost 28 minutes. And this Queen, with all her fury, sets up the engage, jumps on in, another good unburrow, but the damage continues being meaningless. BrokenBlade runs on in, and this time the Void Rush will be punished, but it's under the fountain. As G2 are playing with their food, they really have all game long. BrokenBlade's already out. He doesn't care. He's off his computer before the Nexus falls. He's given the ref a piece of what SK just got.
He already knew it was over. I mean, so clean from G2. The Rek'Sai looking good. The early gank into mid lane, getting full control. How do SK try and play against it? And the one moment where SK tried to go for something, they had that TP from Nisqy, it just kind of fell apart. They couldn't sync up properly. And now you have to ask, who is your player of the game?
Well, you can vote for your key player of the game at LEC on X. BrokenBlade, Caps, or Handsummer. I give you my bias normally, but today I'm going to leave it up to you at home. For G2, a beautiful transition from early to mid. That ends it. But ladies and gentlemen, after our break, we're going to talk to the one and only Rek'Sai OG BrokenBlade. So stay tuned.
Red Bull gives you wings.